Hello, my name is Chitu Okoli. I'm currently an associate professor at Schema Business School, France. In the fall semester of 2015, while I was an associate professor at Concordia University, Montreal, ICT University invited me to give a series of online guest lectures as part of the doctoral student course on how to carry out a literature review. ICT University is based in Yaoundé, Cameroun and Baton Rouge, USA. Its programs focus primarily on information and communication technologies and on management. I recorded most of the lectures, and now I've edited them to be suitable for a more general audience. Although the lectures were given in the context of a specific course, these edited videos should be suitable for any researcher or graduate student who would like to learn how to develop theory using literature reviews. This first video is the overview to the course that I presented to the ICT University students. It provides a general introduction to literature reviews and the idea of developing theory using literature reviews.
The title that we've decided for the course is Theory Development with Systematic Literature Reviews. And so a literature review, as you all know, involves looking at the scholarly literature, so that's the scholarly writings, what the research that has been published in your area of interest, and reviewing that in sense of, well, you read it and you somehow put it all together and present it in a meaningful way that others can read, understand, benefit from. So that's the general idea behind a literature review. Now, there's many ways people can do literature reviews. The most simple is, I guess, what you could call an annotated bibliography, where you maybe identify 20 articles that are relevant to your topic, and you briefly comment on each one of them, and you just list them one after another. On the other end of the spectrum, there's many very advanced, even technical, even mathematical and statistical ways to look at the literature and put it together and say something new about it, which is greater than just the sum of all the parts. So our particular focus on theory development means that we are looking specifically to develop theory. And I'm going to provide you a couple of articles that kind of summarize my research to date on literature reviews. And one of them will talk about a general process of doing what is called a systematic literature review. That's a literature review that follows very precise steps to make sure that you include everything relevant and you can say something meaningful about it. But then the second paper talks about what I call theory mining reviews, and that is a particular way of doing a literature review that looks at theory. The articles will explain a lot of these things in detail, but I'll say I want to set off right away what I mean by theory, because people mean many things by theory, and there's many different definitions of theory. For simplicity's sake, I can say now theory is when you actually try to explain something. So, for example, if you were to do a study on, I'll just make something up, let's say ICT usage in primary schools in Cameroun. So you could do a literature review on that. So you search the literature, you search what research have people done on this. So is this an ICT topic? So you look for databases with computer science, scholarly research, with information systems research. Or is it more of an education topic? So you search for databases with education topics. And so you find all the studies that talk specifically about ICT use in primary schools in Cameroon, and you get all those together and you kind of say, okay, here's all these articles, you found them, so what exactly are you going to say about them? You maybe say, okay, these ones talk about mathematics, you want to talk about social science, and like how exactly are you going to organize it? There's all kinds of ways you could do that. But when we talk about theory, again, theory is about explaining things. So you're specifically looking for some sort of cause and effect. Not necessarily cause and effect. It could be a correlation. But you're looking at two different concepts of some sort. And you're looking at the relationship between them, and you want to explain the relationship between them. So using the example I brought up again of ICT usage in primary schools in Cameroon, that's a very general question, and it's not a theoretical question. It just says, what is there? It's descriptive. It might be useful, but it doesn't explain anything. At best, it presents and reports on the state of things. If, in contrast, you take a question on what kind of school is more likely to use what kind of primary school in Cameroon is more likely to use ICT, then that becomes an explanation. Because then you're looking at use of ICT in primary schools. That's one concept. Then the second concept are the characteristics of the schools. And you're trying to determine the relationship, whether it's causal or whether it's correlational. You're trying to determine the relationship between the characteristics of a school and then its usage of ICT. That is theory. I hope you catch the difference. So between just describing and summarizing or reporting, you're just saying this is what it is, versus theory, which is you're trying to explain something. There's at least two different things. You're trying to observe, measure, identify, and you're trying to get an explanation of why, how, if those two things are related. That is theory. And it's a simple concept, but if you're not conscious of what theory is, then a lot of literature reviews you might do have no theory behind them. And the point and importance of theory is that explanations are far more valuable to researchers and scholars than mere descriptions or summaries. And in one of the papers that I'll provide you, I actually did a little study in information systems research where I found that literature reviews that do focus on theory are cited more by other researchers than those that do not explicitly focus on theory. And so that's just a little way of showing that other researchers find it more valuable when you focus on theory than when you don't. So if your purpose of doing a literature review is just so that you fulfill the requirements towards getting a PhD, and you don't really care if anyone actually reads it, okay. But if, one, you want to do research that is meaningful and useful to yourself and to other people, that can help people understand how things work better, and research that other people want to build upon to expand further knowledge, then that is the thrust of a theory orientation. So a very significant part of this course is going to go into this concept of what is theory, how do you recognize theory, and then looking at your own research interests, how can you take that interest and ask theoretical questions about it? How can you turn it into theory? And based on turning it into theory, then you have a focus for your literature review. You know what exactly you're looking for. It's interesting, one of the descriptions, I was listening when you were kind of talking about your expectation of this course, one person, I'm sorry, I forgot who exactly it was, said that he thinks the idea behind a critical literature review is, well, there's a lot of literature out there, so which ones are relevant, which ones are not relevant. That is definitely a very important part of doing a systematic literature review, finding out what are you going to keep, what are you not going to keep. Though critical is more than that, I'll talk about that in a moment. But just that aspect of what, out of all the literature, what you keep, what you not keep, that is a very big part of this course. And when you have an idea of what theory is, and you want a literature review that develops theory, then part of deciding what you will not keep is you will be able to identify articles and look at them and find what is the theory in these articles. And you'll find that a lot of articles do not have theory. And I'm not saying that if there's no theory, they're not valuable. And we'll talk about some other valuable uses that might not be theoretical. But when you want to build theory, then you'll be able to discern theory in other people's articles, and you'll be able to pick up the theoretical pieces which you can use to build upon in your development of theory. So that's a general introduction and summary to the thrust of this course. I said I wanted to make another comment about just the aspect of critical. So critical and critical literature review, how I understand that is that you don't just take what other people have done and take that's it. Being critical means that as scholars, we read between the lines. So again, if you do a literature review to just summarize what people have done, there might not be much criticism, and I don't mean criticism in a negative way, I mean criticism in a scholarly way. You just report, this is what people did, this is what they found, here's the result. But when you have a theory focus, you're trying to explain something, then suddenly you have a lens by which to scrutinize anything you read. And you read an article, and in your mind, is this helping to explain things better? And in this course, our goal will be to help you to learn how to make that judgment, to look at an article and say, does this article contribute to the explanation? Even though it is on topic, but does it contribute to the explanation? Why and why not? So it's not just exclude this article, not exclude. There's some articles that are right on target. They help build your theory. Yes, they're very relevant. There are those that are completely off target. They're not relevant, so you don't include them. But there's a lot of articles in between. They are on topic. They talk about something about theory, but because they were not conducted in a proper way, or maybe because they only covered part of what you're interested in, but not the other part, you learn to discern what is relevant in those articles, what is not relevant, to discern what are their shortcomings, and what can you do to enhance it. So, with all of this, I'll say a very practical and very important purpose of this course in ICT University is the preparation of your literature review for your final doctoral dissertation. And one of the goals is that your learning in this course and the paper you'll write in this course could even serve as a first draft of your eventual dissertation. And there's many aspects of a theory mining literature review. If you already have a concrete research question that is theory oriented, then this can help you focus on it and learn how to build a literature review to find out what people have actually done on it and help focus on what your contribution can be. But if you really don't, and I expect that to be the case of most of you, a large part, there are theory mining reviews that you might not have a theoretical question, but you just know your topic of interest, like you are interested in ICT usage in primary schools in Cameroon. You know you're interested in that, but you don't really have a theoretical question. A big part of this course will help you focus on that topic and explore that topic in a broad way to help identify good theoretical questions. And the good theoretical questions, a lot of times you'll find, have not been answered by the literature. And that is a shortcoming of the literature, but then that becomes an opportunity for you. Because that means that for your eventual dissertation, where you do primary research, you do your own original data collection, your own original analysis, because of your literature review, you've identified this question is important, it is unanswered, you found out what other people have done, and now you know what you can do to make the contribution, which is your eventual doctoral dissertation. The major project for this course, the goal is that the final output is that you have a literature review, a meaningful literature review. Now, the course will focus on what is called a stand-alone literature review. So whenever you do a scholarly article, you always have a literature review section, or almost always, that reviews the literature and then you get into your main topic for the study. And that's usually maybe 1 to 3 pages of the article. But a standalone literature review is a research article that the entire article is a literature review. Then another kind of literature review is for your doctoral thesis or dissertation. You have one of the chapters is a literature review. So this is similar to a standalone literature review, but a standalone literature review is not part of a larger work. It is an article whose sole purpose is to review the literature. And that's really the main focus, because once you have that, you can publish it, but you can also use it as part of your dissertation. So that's the focus of this course, helping you to develop that. However, this is a one-semester course, and realistically, you're not in one semester you're not going to be able to produce the final version of a completed literature review. So that's why I call the final output a pilot study. You can consider it the first draft of your literature review, but understandably there might be some aspects that might not be fully completed. And so that's just realistically realizing what is feasible within one semester. However, with the result, what you complete would be suitable for at least publication in a conference, an academic conference, whether a national conference, and I hope with the standard that we'll be teaching you, it could even be accepted in an international conference. I know, practically speaking, it's hard to get funded for that, but at least that's the standard we're shooting for. So when I give you the 2 articles to read, it'll be much clearer what a protocol is. But as the summary that Thaddeus read, a protocol is just an outline of what you're going to do for any kind of academic study. So instead of just starting the study step by step, you plan out what you're going to do. And this will be a formal step in developing a literature review. Actually, before you start doing the review, you look at what are you going to do, how are you going to do it. And that's what a protocol is. So maybe a 2-3 page document outlining the steps that you're planning to follow to conduct it. And then, in the end, you'll actually do what it says, but we know that it might not be the final version. It will be complete, you will do it, but we know it's not ready for journal publication, but it should at least be ready for a conference publication, for instance.